The mats were slick with sweat, the scent of liniment oil and chalk hanging heavy in the air, and a crowd of young martial artists circled the sparring ring as the evening class wound down. In the center stood Jason Ward, a celebrated black belt, known not only for his skill but for his showmanship. He thrived on being the star of the gym, cracking jokes and testing his students with playful challenges. That night, though, his eyes fell on someone who wasn't a student at all. Maria, the quiet cleaning lady who came every evening to mop the floors and empty the trash, moved silently along the edge of the mat with a worn bucket and an old cloth. Without thinking about the weight of his words, Jason smirked and called out for her to step onto the mat for a spar. Laughter rippled through the room. What happened next would silence every chuckle and change not only Jason's view of respect, but the destiny of the woman he had mocked. If you believe in kindness, respect, and second chances, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to Hidden Hearts right now. It helps stories like this reach more people who need hope. Maria paused with her mop mid-stroke, the hum of the gym dimming until it felt like the entire room held its breath. She was small, in her early 40s, her hair pulled back into a simple bun, wearing a faded polo shirt with the gym's logo and plain black pants. Years of quiet labor had made her hands rough and strong. Jason's joke landed like a stone in her chest. She had endured countless offhand comments and invisible glances, but tonight something inside her shifted. Without a word, she set the mop against the wall, slipped off her worn sneakers, and stepped onto the mat. The students whispered nervously. Jason's smile faltered, but he raised his hands anyway, still thinking this would be a harmless show of bravado. What nobody in the gym knew was that Maria had a past she kept tucked away like an old photograph. Long before she cleaned floors for a living, she had trained in martial arts back in her home country, competing at a national level before life's hardships pulled her from the path. When her husband passed away and she brought her young son to this city, survival meant taking any job she could find. She hadn't sparred in over a decade, but her body still remembered. As she bowed slightly, a gesture of respect she had been taught as a girl, Jason's bravado cracked further. Something in her eyes told him this was no joke. The first exchange was tentative. Jason moved lightly, tossing out a playful jab meant to entertain the onlookers. Maria slipped aside with effortless precision, her footwork fluid despite her work clothes. Murmurs rose around the room. Jason tried again, this time with more seriousness, but Maria's hand darted up, redirecting his arm, and in a breath she had positioned herself at his flank. No strike landed, no blow thrown, just control, grace, and an authority that couldn't be faked. The gym fell silent. The students' eyes widened, and a few even lowered their phones they had been ready to record for a laugh. As the seconds ticked on, Jason realized he wasn't sparring a cleaning lady. He was sparring a martial artist of rare skill. Sweat rolled down his temple as he adjusted his stance. Maria's face was calm, but her heart pounded, every movement waking muscles she thought she had lost. She could have humiliated him with a quick throw or lock, but instead she chose restraint. Her purpose was not revenge, but dignity. She simply demonstrated enough to show she belonged on the mat, not just on the sidelines with a mop. When she finally stepped back and lowered her hands, the room was so quiet you could hear the hum of the fluorescent lights. Jason dropped his guard and bowed deeply. In that moment, he felt the sting of shame, but also a strange lightness, like a door opening in his chest. He had built his identity on dominance and showmanship, forgetting the humility at the heart of martial arts. Maria bowed back, her eyes soft. Then she turned, picked up her mop, and resumed her work as if nothing had happened. But nothing in the gym was the same. Students approached her shyly to thank her, to ask questions. Jason followed her to the edge of the mat and, in a low voice, apologized. It wasn't just words. He meant it. That night he couldn't sleep. He thought of Maria training as a young woman, of the sacrifices she had made, of how easily people like him overlooked people like her. He decided to act. The next day he spoke with the gym's owners about offering Maria free access to classes and inviting her to teach fundamentals to new students. She resisted at first, hesitant to step back into a role she had left behind, but Jason persisted gently. Within weeks, Maria was wearing a crisp white G again, her black belt tied around her waist, leading evening warm-ups with quiet authority. Her son came to watch her teach, eyes shining with pride. For Jason, the change was deeper than a single act of apology. He began volunteering at community centers, offering free self-defense classes, and using his platform to talk about respect and humility. Students noticed a shift in his demeanor, less showmanship, more mentorship. Maria became a symbol in the gym not of embarrassment, but of resilience and grace. People started calling her Coach Maria, and for the first time in years she felt seen not as invisible labor but as someone with knowledge to share. Weeks turned into months. The gym flourished with a new culture of respect rooted in that one silent evening. Maria's story spread online, though she never sought fame. Parents brought their children to meet her, to hear how she had once been overlooked but chose kindness over humiliation. Jason always introduced her humbly, telling the real lesson he had learned, that martial arts without respect is just violence, and that greatness can be hidden in plain sight, wearing a faded polo and carrying a mop. If this story touched your heart, please like, share, and subscribe to Hidden Hearts so more people can feel the power of kindness, respect, and second chances. It truly makes a difference. As you imagine the camera pulling back from the bright mats of the gym, the sound of children practicing and Maria's calm voice guiding them, you're left with a simple truth. You never know who carries greatness quietly within them, and a single act of humility can transform a whole community. Before you go, please comment below. What hidden strength or talent have you seen in someone others overlooked? Your answers might inspire someone else reading them.